Today I wanted to talk about the power of reflections. Why, after you read a book, you need to be able to reflect back. Sometimes you read so much content, you've eaten it, but now you're wondering why your life is never changing. And one of the reasons why sometimes you're not making progress after reading books is because you're not putting into effect or taking advantage of the power of reflection. Reflection can come through what I'm doing right now. Every time I read a book, I share some of the lessons I've learned. After I read, I talk to my spouse or husband or friends and share about the lessons that I've learned in the book. Or joining a book club where after you read, you just meet together as friends and talk about the lessons and the steps that you're going to take in your life to improve. I would really encourage you that every time you read a book that you create a system around you where you are able to reflect on what are some of the things that I've learned from this book. Why was this book important to me in this season that I am? Why is it that I was so intrigued by what the author was saying, and taking time to read those books rather than jumping to the next book. And that's why some of the reasons why in 2023, after reviewing, I was only able to read like 2 books in the month of March rather than 3 or 4, which I know I can, but with seasons of life not in a position, is because I have learned the power of reflection, taking time and asking yourself, what 3 lessons have I learned from this book? Why am I going to put into practice the lessons that I've read? Because it's not just about reading a book. It's not about digesting the book and just feeling like, oh, you know what, I've read 24 books in this year. Yet, having read 24 books this year, your life is not transformed. Your life is not changed. What it beats logic as to why you are reading all this book. And for me, I wanted to just share with you some of the things that I do after I conclude a book. I've just maybe finished reading my books for the month or for that week, and I am like, the next week I sit down and I, with my book and with my paper, I sit down and I ask myself, what are some of the 3 key lessons that I've learned from this book? And when I can, because a book, like if a book is 200 pages, there are a lot of words that have been said. But you're like, what are the 3 key lessons that I've learned? And as you intention and you use your, please use your, I encourage myself or I encourage you to use your mind, not your, don't look back at the book, but using your mind to actually train the muscles of your mind for retention. And as you write down these lessons, you know what I learned from, let's say, from the book of Ikigai, that I'm going to exercise, I'm going to eat 80% less. And as you write these books down, you're training the muscles of your brain to learn that every time you are reading, you're looking out for lessons, you're looking out for key things that you can apply in your life. Then after you read, you list down the key 3 lessons that have popped up into your mind as you're reading this book. You can also ask yourself a second question. What was the author trying to, what was the key message? If I was to summarize this book in one sentence, what was this author just trying to teach me, trying to inform the world, trying to entertain me on? What was that key lesson? And as you summarize these lessons from the author, you are able to internalize that lesson or the teachings in like it's like an elevator pitch of some sort. What was the main lessons that I learned from the book Ikigai? That you know what, there is a purpose for being, and each one has that purpose, and we should all strive to learn what our Ikigai is. So when I reflect on that one underlying theme, then I'm like, then questions start popping. So is it important for me to be a good negotiator? So where can I apply negotiation? Because I'm the one who went to look for this book. So when you identify the key lessons that were able to be that the author was trying to teach, then that backs up even your 3 lessons, because then you can be able to see that what these are the things that I learned. Also, a third thing that I want to encourage you is, out of these 3 lessons that I have learned, out of this key message that the author was trying to teach, what are the 1, 2, or 3 things that I will apply in my life for the next 1 month? Putting it physically into practice. So, for example, when I read the book, the Never Split the Difference by Chris Rock, I determined that I am going to be listening effectively. And when I go into a negotiation, mirror what the person was teaching me. So I decided and I wrote down that the thing that I will do is mirror the speaker. You can watch the video on negotiation. When I read the book Ikigai, one of the key lessons that I said I'm putting into practice is, every time I eat, I ensure that my plate is sufficient enough for my capacity, and not to eat till I'm 100% full. And to inculcate fasting in my life. So either I'm fasting with the church, or when they're fasting every month, or I'm fasting for myself during the week, the beginning, the end. So I decided I'm going to really, I don't want to share the conclusion of how I fasted, because I don't want it to be a rule for anyone. So I decided that I will put aside time and fast, because not only is it guiding me spiritually, it's also enabling me to become a person who gives my gut system time to breathe, which is beneficial to my overall health. So now you've written down the power of reflection. You're reflecting on the 3 key lessons that you can take home from the book, from your mental remembrance. What is the key lesson that the author was trying to convey for me as a reader? And did that align? Was I really in alignment with what they said? And what lessons am I going to apply in my life moving forward, so that this book was not a waste of my money, this book was not a waste of my time, and I am able to actually benefit from the lessons and the teaching that this author has taken 200, 300 words to put down for me to put it, their wisdom. It's basically their wisdom that they're trying to offer you for a price that you have bought the book for. And for me, as always, sharing with you what I've learned, so that I can retain that knowledge. I can retain that information. Maybe you don't have the courage to start a YouTube channel. You don't have the courage to share on social media, but you have a friend. You can start a book club. You can just share and learn with some of your friends. And as you teach others, because sometimes we retain this. There's a quote I once read. You retain 80%, I think, of what you read. You retain, I think, is it 90% of what you put into practice, and then I think there's another percentage of what you retain when you share with others. And the benefits are mostly when you share with others and when you put it into practice, rather than reading. So my encouragement to you, as you read your next book, as you buy your next book, is also schedule in time for reflection. Schedule in time for reflection of the book that you have reading, so that you can reap maximum benefits for purchasing a book, actually giving out your hard-earned money to buy a book. So ensure that since you've given out your money, you are going to benefit from that reading. As always, like, share, subscribe, and comment as we engage. And looking forward to engaging more with you.